So, welcome to another edition of the Cultivating Tradition Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by two really great figures in Chinese medicine. There is Susan Evans, who our BAcC members might recognize her from the BAcC governing board, but she's now currently a ETCMA, European Traditional Chinese Medicine Association Executive Committee member, and newly the vice chair of the committee. And I'm also joined by Ricardo Teixeira, who is the current president, just taken over from Yaya Maimon. So he's fresh in the role, but not fresh to the ETCMA. So we're going to discuss about this organization, what it's all about, and Susan and Ricardo's reflections on the ETCMA in the past, and also some plans for the future too. So I'd like to start with Susan, because I knew Susan when I first came on as CEO of the British Acupuncture Council. You were on the governing board, you were my boss.
Yes.
And so, and I've known since then that you were quite engaged and interested with the European Traditional Chinese Medicine Association. But I think that some of us watching, whether they're from the public or from our membership, may not know very much about it and what it does. And so I just wanted to ask you, what's your appreciation of the ETCMA, and how does it relate to BAcC members in their practices and everyday lives?
Okay, so I suppose an overview of the ETCMA is that we're an umbrella organization, and we have 30 members, all based in Europe. And so the ETCMA is that hub for all these members who work together. As a member of the British Acupuncture Council, before I joined the ETCMA, I didn't know just how much work the ETCMA puts in to advocating for acupuncture, for supporting education. And, you know, in the UK, we're very lucky in that we have very high educational standards, and we have a very prominent BAcC. A lot of countries in Europe have much smaller organizations, and they look up to the BAcC for a lot of the work that they do. And it's so important to speak together. I mean, one of the straplines for the ETCMA is "Together we are stronger." And that is so true. And in the climate that we're in at the minute, it's so important that we stick together and that we work together. And I mean, we've just had a day of working together where all our members sit together around tables and discuss issues that come up. And, you know, as a member of the BAcC, you don't necessarily get the real strong flavor and the difference that makes to the members. And it's something that we, in our new roles, are really hoping to take it more to the membership, so that our members understand more about the ETCMA and can actually get more benefit from the ETCMA.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one thing to note is that the British Acupuncture Council itself is a member of the ETCMA. A small part of the fees go to help fund the ETCMA, and we have voting rights on the ETCMA. So we have influence over the organization, and we also have a responsibility with that as well to help. And I couldn't agree more that being unified is really, really key. When we go through periods where there isn't unity, it not only drains a huge amount of energy, but we negate all the opportunities that we create. And you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. With the unity, it gives us the opportunity to create the possibility for things to happen.
Yeah.
And with the headlines, when something big moves forward, people don't realize the years and years of preparation and discussion and collaboration. And to me, I've been to 2 General Assemblies, and I see it's so important that we are showing up all together across Europe and sharing our experiences, but then brainstorming how we can push things forward, because that's how things do move forward.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, in this last year, I've been working on what we call the Future Leaders Project.
Yep.
So, there is a lack in all the organizations of members who want to step up into leadership. So we put a call out, and we had a lot of people turn up for the initial meeting, and then we broke into, we had 4 different groups who worked on projects, and they then presented them back to the ETCMA, and then they went through a mentorship program with the different committees within the ETCMA, and the work that they have done is unbelievable. You know, the talent we've got out there in memberships, you know, we really need to be able to get the juice out of that.
Yeah.
And that's what we did with the Future Leaders Project, and it was highly successful.
And just to underline it, 2 of the future leaders ending up helping out with the staff at the BACC.
Yes.
So Paul came in to help with comms, and he's a bit of an odd job man because he's now helping us spec out our IT and fix our CRM. And Relitza has helped now with the conference in 2025 to great success, and the conference in 2026. So this really does work. It really does. There's real outcomes to doing these kinds of programs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't agree more. So Ricardo, I'd like to just give you my congratulations because you've now just been elected unanimously as president of the ETCMA, but you're not new to the ETCMA. So before we get onto the ETCMA, maybe I think our members might be interested in something about you and your background in Chinese medicine, your practice and the work you do in your own country, Portugal. So yeah, maybe you'd just like to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Of course. So I'm from Portugal. I'm been a practitioner for 20 years now. And besides that, 5 years ago, I decided to take a bachelor degree in in cardiopulmonology, in neurophysiology. So I also have a background in the part of the Western medicine, let's put it like this. I also teach in some universities and schools across Europe and South America also. So it's a passion that I have with Chinese medicine. It grabbed me when I was taking a degree in IT management, and then I met acupuncture. I fell in love with it, so I stopped and started to learn about Chinese medicine. It's 20 years now. This is going to be the 20th anniversary of my beginning on this profession. Yeah, it's been a very interesting journey, let's put it like this. And regarding ETCMA, so I first joined because of my society. So they were part of ETCMA. In 2015, we sent our request to become members. I went for the first meeting in 2016 in Nice, in France. And it was amazing to see that, you know, the musicians might be different, but the music is always the same in every country. We start to see the problems that exist in France, in Italy, and in the UK. All of them are more or less the same. So it was easy for me to understand the power of talking in one voice. Because if you talk about one voice with almost 12,000 members that societies overall have, it's almost impossible to ignore it. So ETCMA represents more than just a society. It represents also a vision, and a vision that is shared. And you were here today, you were here in the past, is shared by all of us. We want to improve the profession. We want to improve the quality for the members, for the practitioners, because the reality is that in the long space, the long run game, the patients will benefit from this. So yeah.
No, I completely agree, and I think it's really important to make that point, is that the actions that we take will impact whether patients get the care they need, ultimately. And that's what we all want, right? I'm just wondering if looking back at you've been working on the ETCMA Executive Committee for 9 years, is that right? So looking back over that, what are the highlights and the general things that you think that have moved forward in that time and the work that you've done?
So I remember when I entered, I only had the password for the for the communication. I started in the communication, and it was very difficult because most of the work that we did was to collect more societies, was to work with less capacity that we have now, but always with this vision of greatness. we had the bigger persona that we have in terms of people working. So after that, we started to have the first term more focus on communication on my side. So I tried to build social media, I tried to build the image. And we started to have, and this was important, ETCMA was part of the organization of the World Acupuncture Day. And at the time, we invited EMBAcC to be part of it also. Phil Rose-Neal was involved, Jasmine also involved in the initial meetings for the World Acupuncture Day that we had in the UNESCO. And it was amazing to see that our vision aligned perfectly compared with other delegations from China and other countries. So it looks like we were having one voice from one side, so that show us a little bit that we are in the same direction and we want the same things. And during that time that we have, it was a very interesting Congress. It was a big Congress, but the reality, it didn't have the impact that we wanted. So it looks like it was a party for acupuncturists, a very expensive party. And this is something that we are trying to change, is how can we have impact that will last? So one of the things that I decided to do when I was in the second term in advocacy was to propose Acupuncture Awareness Day. So the WADO, the World Acupuncture Day, was in the 15th of November. And because we are part of it, I didn't want to use that day, so we did the 16th. And we start to have this campaign where we brought not only the members of ETCMA, but also members from Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, US, Canada, in order to have one day that we can celebrate the profession that is part of the human heritage, and also to celebrate what we do as practitioners, because sometimes it's very difficult for us to say what we do, but we represent so much and we help so many people. So after that, we have Susan that helped us to create the governance of ETCMA, and now we have a pile of documents. But it's important for transparency. It's important to, and the interesting thing, that's nothing to do with EMBAcC. Most of the documents that we have, we are inspired a lot by EMBAcC. Mm-hmm. But when we see other societies taking notes, saying, we want to try that. So ETCMA is not only playing the part, we are showing how is the future. Yeah. So the creation of the society to become more professional, that's important. And EMBAcC is long way related to others. And we want to continue to be connected. We want you to also to help us pass this message. And I think we are in the same boat.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something really interesting here. Today, just talking with everybody, we in the UK, obviously, we think about the UK most of the time. And we think about issues like statutory regulation, voluntary regulation, all of the different things that we have and we don't have. Most of the time we're focusing on the things we don't have. First thing is, and I think Susan and I were talking about this, is when we came to the ETCMA the first time, we were surprised that everyone speaks to us like, well, in the UK, you've made it. You've got the great accreditation body. You've got degree level education. You can practice. You've got some kind of recognition from the government, but you've also got the freedom to regulate yourself with your own characteristics. And it's a little bit, it's pleasantly surprising because we as members in the UK don't necessarily appreciate what we do have. No. Something that I really noticed today is we were talking about all of our challenges across Europe. You have a real variety. You have some countries like, say, Italy or Austria, where only medical doctors can practice. You have other countries like Portugal, that you've got regulation, and Switzerland. But what's interesting, talking to the countries that have statutory regulation, is you have your own problems when you get statutory regulation, and the medicine starts to change in some ways as well. And so it's not a simple matter of saying statutory regulation is better than voluntary regulation. And the advantage of being an ETCMA is we don't have to make the mistakes. We can learn from the other countries. We can see what's happening in the other countries, and we can feed that back into our own countries as well, which is really important. So my last question for you both, just put you on the spot, now you're the new president, is looking forward to the future. One of the things you mentioned today, which really resonated with, and it doesn't sound exciting, but to me it's exciting, is you were saying that we have to mature our approach, and we have to recognize that there's a natural kind of maturation process that's happening right now. And I really recognize this because, when you set things up to begin with, it's exciting, going from zero to something. It's a different kind of challenge to take from something to something better, or something more stable, or something that actually is more successful. So that was really interesting to me to hear. It gives me a lot of confidence as well. But just want to ask both of you what your thoughts are for the future, what you think the challenges and opportunities are, what's on your radar, and maybe what people can expect coming down the line as well.
I'll start.
You call.
Okay, so I suppose for me, a couple of months ago, I had a meeting with the Future Leaders Group when they finished, and they wanted to take something forward, and they want to look at something. And one of the things that came up that I talked about was mentoring supervision, which I've been involved with mentoring supervision for many years. And the young people in the Future Leaders Group were so interested, and they really saw the value in what I was talking about. So I know some of the countries within Europe do have mentoring supervision, but this is something I think that for me over the next 3 years, I really want to open that conversation within the ETCMA because, we lose so many practitioners in the first few years of practice, and if they've got mentoring supervision as part of their growing as a practitioner, then it's the support. I mean, the support I've had, since I've been doing it in the early 90s has been immeasurable. So that's my sort of pet thing I really want to introduce to the ETCMA, as well as to support the president in whatever role he lets me do. Did I say the right thing? Yes. And we get on really well. And the thing about the EC that we have at the minute, because we've just got one new person coming in, but this EC has worked together really well. And we've bonded really well together. So, when you're friends with people that you work with, you get so much more work done. And it's been really important. The last 3 years, we've grown a lot together, and it's been a great experience.
I think that's actually, if there's people watching right now who are thinking, well, would I like to get involved with, whether it's your own professional association like the MBAcC or ETCMA, we do have a lot of fun. And it's important to say that because it sounds like a trivial thing, but the relationships are everything. And relationships are what make things work and create opportunity. So I think that it is really enriching, and it's a very special feeling when you're working with people, you're achieving things, you're moving things forward, and becoming better friends as well, which is really important.
And we have great fun.
Yeah.
We do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mr. President.
Thank you. So, yes, first of all, it's always like a family. And sometimes it's have problems, as every family, but we have a common goal. And it's the love for the profession. It's the love for doing something. It's to plant a tree that we know that we are not going to use the shadow a lot. But I think we are doing something that is important. So the future is always problematic because, like you said, and this is my opinion, is that it's like when you accelerate in the car when the light is green, and then you hit that stable velocity, and you don't feel like the instant impact. That's the maturity that we want. We want to grow now, but it's a past grow. It's a grow that you know exactly where are you putting your feet on. So the idea for me is to look at the societies because we want to grow the societies. If you grow the societies, you have more power inside of your country, and you can help better the professionals. Because it's not enough for you to always demand from the societies. You need to get involved. And for you to get involved, society will grow. It will have diversity, will have discussion. Sometimes it's good to have people that don't agree with you so you can grow. And that's something that inside of DC we tend to have. Because this is the good thing about us, is that we have cultural differences. I'm from the south of Europe. We have people the center of Europe. It's different the way that we see things. So this allows us to grow and to challenge each other. So one is to grow the societies and look at Europe, not so much look at China, not so much look at the US, Australia. That doesn't mean that we are closing the door. It means that we need to focus on what we can grow now and what we can learn from others, of course. The other thing is, of course, the youth. This profession has becoming we are losing a lot of youth from the profession, because every time that you talk with someone that is doing acupuncture, you ask them and they say, oh, I found my calling. And the young people of 18, 19, 20 will not find their callings. And the reality is that if you want to give the leap and you have a stable job and you're receiving the money and you say, okay, I will do acupuncture, it's not easy. So one of the things that we want to do is find a way to help the societies to increase the quality of the profession itself in terms of having the conditions of a good profession, so young people will say, now I'm interested, because this is a profession, this is a growing. So the creation of a path, a professional path, where you have clinicals, but you also have researchers, you have people in managing, you have people in the government. That is something that all of the other professions did, and we need to do it also. Besides these two big issues, we need to look at the industry. We need to look at TCM supplies companies, because we have a common goal. And we need to start discussing. It's not about, oh, they want money. No, we want to sit down and see. And one of the things that I want to reach out is to see if this companies wants to help us create better conditions for the practitioners. So imagine a research award, something that can help you to become involved. So there's a lot of projects, there's a lot of things on top of the table, but we want to focus on one or two projects every year. We want to focus on something that we can have a real impact, even if it's something that we only see in 10 years, but we need to start now.
I completely agree. And there will be something that we can all see this year, because the British Acupuncture Council, again, will be running its Awareness Week at the same time as World Acupuncture Day with the ETCMA, so November 16th. And we'll be doing some collaborations and sharing each other's content. And when we connect our Awareness Week across Europe, and Europe connects to our Awareness Week, we just make ourselves all stronger, and the message gets out wider. And that's a really good example, I think, of how this kind of collaboration can benefit us all. So thank you both very much for this enlightening conversation, and I hope to catch you at another Cultivating Tradition podcast.